one of my very first clients, probably one of the first 5 or 10 clients when I first started 23 years ago. We did all this incredible estate planning work where we, and back then we had an estate tax issue. So we were really, it was for estate taxes. We were doing some really good things. But they had a family cottage where the family had gathered for every summer in upstate New York. And Alex, it was right down the road from you, Little York Lake.
Very nice.
Yep.
I'm a freshwater guy, so I get it.
There you go. And so he wanted to put, and they both, him and his wife wanted to put the cottage in a trust with enough money so that the kids could take care of it and have that place go forever. Mom and Dad passed very shortly after we put this plan into place. It was just one after another, 6 months apart. And within a year, the cottage was out of the trust. The money was out of the trust. The kids didn't want to be together. And they never asked. We never had the conversation. And so very early in my career, I felt that. And I went out looking for ways to do, talk about these things. And we've been talking about it. And so I mentored with James Hughes, who wrote Family Wealth, Keeping It in the Family, and a whole bunch of other books. And just, that led me to the Purposeful Planning Institute. But for those families that I served, which were middle market, family-owned businesses or lower, a lot of them were mom and pop across the kitchen table, hiring somebody at $25,000 or $50,000 to do values and vision and mission of the family and where am I going just was out of reach. And I just, I've been looking for this for myself. And, you both happen to know, and this is not an endorsement, but my wife and I are going through this process, and my wife and I are enjoying the process. And my wife was resistant to the process. And after the first meeting, she's like, I don't get it, whatever. After the second meeting, she goes, I understand why we're doing this now. And we're really excited about, we have adult children, and we want to do some different things with them. And if we aren't intentional, where are we going? So I really appreciate this. I'm excited about what you're doing. So let's talk about.
No, well, Michael, I mean, just to that point, what you're talking about with that early client was not, if you are only looking at the problem through a wealth lens.
Yes. Thank you.
You did everything that you were supposed to do through the wealth lens. And I know we talk about non-financial domains of wealth and financial domains of wealth, but most of the financial advisors we work with are looking at things through the wealth lens because that's the one they know and understand and they're good at. But a lot of times we just find, like, when we hear those stories, I just hear, like, you did your job, but there was a whole nother thing going on over here, right, that maybe a lot of people involved didn't understand.
Yeah, we didn't communicate. We never asked the kids, what do they want? And it's so easy to do that. And what if the kids had said to mom and dad, we don't want to be joined at the hip in this cottage? That would be brutal for us. Wouldn't that be an eye opener for them when they think that everybody's happy and hunky dory and they want to be together forever and they're not? Maybe I could have done something intentional before I passed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like Katie and I have our own families. Our families are far from perfect.
Of course.
Right. And I think when you say it's easy, it's like, and we hear this like, oh, this is the soft stuff or this is the easy stuff. I just don't think that's true. And it's very, very hard to talk to your own family. We're all and everyone in our company is comfortable helping other families. But then when you go to talk to your own kids or your own parents or your own whatever, there's just something different about it. And so having like that objective kind of person in your life who can be on the sidelines, they're not really in what's going on, but they can sort of point out things. I think it's really helpful. So
yeah, I would also add, it's really just the incremental small improvements. Sometimes it's not going to be the difficult conversation about the cottage before we lose our parents. If we had backtracked, if we had zoomed out 10 years and started those conversations, how does that change? What happens, in the future, so that you can really see the progress that you made? It's not in one conversation, it's really over time.
That's an amazing point by Katie. And I think the solutions that are in the market right now, typically at the higher end of the market, they involve like a retreat, or like we're doing this for 2 days, or we're going to solve all our problems in this period of time. And, to Katie's point, one, like we're not really there to solve anything. It's really a little bit over time. We meet with families typically on a quarterly basis. So it's like 4 meetings a year for as long as we can possibly do it. And over time, we're going to get to some of that stuff, but it's just hard to show up and be like, all right, we're solving this problem. Everyone sit down. It's just, it doesn't really work like that.
I mean, that's really important to point out to people. I think it's an awful lot like going to the gym. You don't walk into the gym and start bench pressing 500 pounds. You work your way up to it and do those things. And you're right. A 2-day family retreat might make some people's eyes pop out of their head as they were like, you want me to do what?
Yeah. And you were sharing in your session, there is just an emotional component to all this when you're talking about the thing you care about the most. So doing it for like 8 hours is a lot.
Yeah.
It's really a lot. So spreading it out, doing it when you're in a good headspace, creating like, an avenue that is respectful of the subject matter is something that we're constantly focusing on. Cause like, I can't do that work for 8 hours for my own family. So I don't see how we would expect anyone else to.
Yeah. So I think we understand the mission